Alrighty guys, Craig the Glasgow Geek here with another video, and today I'm going to be sharing with you the long and arduous journey that went into making these. And yes, they are heavy. So after searching online for 3D printed Jurassic Park goggles, I found this listing on a website called eCrater. And the good thing about these was that they already had the electrics fitted within the goggles. So I didn't need to do anything. I didn't need to research how to fit and wire lights and all this kind of stuff and hook it up to power and all that, because it was already done for me. And I knew that I could work around that. And obviously, make these goggles just look that wee bit more accurate with a wee bit of TLC. When the goggles arrived, this is what they looked like. So you could see there was some pretty significant stepping from the 3D printing process. And on the sides and on the middle section there, you could see that there was these joins, these rather obvious seam lines from where the parts had been glued together. And I knew that I would need to, focus on those first. Also, the details on the sides of the lenses were sculpted in, but they weren't entirely accurate as well as the actual strap that was used to, the actual strap used to keep the goggles on your head. So I knew I had to replace that as well. So this now started the long and arduous process of this whole build, which was sanding everything back, making everything smooth. And to do that, I used this spray putty, which I found on Amazon, and that actually helps to fill in the small interstices within the 3D printing and help remove that step in. So you spray that on, let it dry, and then you would sand it back, spray it on, sand it back, spray it on, sand it back, and you would repeat that process until you got a finish that you were happy with. Here I'm applying some masking tape around the lights, so that I didn't obviously get any of the putty spray in there, because the last thing I wanted to do was cause any problems with the electrics. And this is what the goggles looked like once they had a coating of that spray all over the goggles. So this obviously was the start of smoothing over the entire thing. And once I'd gotten it to a certain point, this was the point where I reached where I was happy with the overall look and feel of the goggles. They were very smooth, and I'd managed to remove a lot of that stepping. I then used high coat grey primer. Again, I found this on Amazon. Spray painted the whole thing grey. And at this point, this is when I started applying colour. And this is where the whole thing started to come together. So I used Tamiya olive drab for the darker colour. And I also used high coat double acrylic Ford Signal green for the lighter colours. And you can see here that this is where it really starts to get interesting and exciting, because you can start to see the goggles coming together and starting to look a wee bit more screen accurate. I also used a spray gloss as well. It doesn't matter what brand you use, so long as it's a gloss clear spray paint over the back section to give it this shiny look. And you can see how it catches the light as I'm turning it about there, and it just made this whole thing look much more accurate. It really made this thing look like plastic. I then used Milliput to sculpt the switches at the side, and I painted the front section yellow, just using a nice bright yellow colour. And I also made this little stencil from a little bit of frog tape. This is usually used in painting, and I just applied that to the side of the lenses and painted through that white, so that it created this little stencil for the sides. And I also went round the lenses in gold paint, because if you look at the lenses in the film, they have a little ring of gold around each lens, so I applied those. Now this was a harness, an adjustable harness from a Huntsman welding mask, which was really accurate. As you see, it's got the little harness at the back, it's got the little stickers on the inside, and it even had that little padding bit at the front there, you can see. And once that was completed, here were the goggles in their final stage, and I was so happy with these. Once the whole thing was done, once the final paint details were applied, once the strap was glued in place, I was so over the moon with these. I'm really happy to have these in my collection. I'm really proud of myself for making these. They're as accurate as I'm going to get them. There are slight, inaccuracies with them, but I'm so over the moon with this build, and I'm really proud to have these in my collection. Now there are still some slight inaccuracies with this, as I mentioned earlier on in the video. Number one being the strap. The strap should be white. This is grey, but it's exactly the same strap as the one used in the actual film. The only difference is that it's grey instead of white. And you know, on mine, I'm quite happy with that. I did manage to find one on eBay that was white and it was the correct colour and the correct style, but the person that was selling it was wanting like £250 for it. This one was £30, so I went with that. The other slight difference is the profile from the side is a little bit different. It's more boxy, it's not as kind of streamlined, and this whole kind of part here is all one piece, so you can see I've just kind of painted it different to make it look separate. The other thing as well is, of course, the actual kind of switches here for the side to adjust the lenses, and of course the actual lenses themselves. But considering that this was just entirely 3D printed with the exception of the strap and the little buttons at the side, I'm really happy with how this looks overall. I think it looks really good for what it is. Like I said, it's not perfect, it's not 100% screen accurate, but I'm really happy with this. I put a lot of work into this, showed it a lot of TLC, you know, it was a lot of sanding, it was a lot of painting, it was a lot of masking and remasking and, you know, finding this right strap and, you know, all that kind of thing. So I'm extremely happy with what I have, and it's going to be, you know, and the fact that it lights up as well, I mean, that's just that's just perfect to me. But I am so happy with these. They will be going pride of place in the Jurassic Park display cabinet there behind me, and yeah, I'm just over the moon with these goggles, and as you see, they fit perfectly. So until next time, guys, I don't post very often, but when I do, it's always for cool stuff like this. So if you fancy seeing more from me in the future, then please hit the like button, hit subscribe, and hit the wee bell button as well so you know when I post a video like this. Otherwise, take care.